When we were overdressed, people would laugh and tell us to tone it down. When we're overeducated, the job market sometimes doesn't know what to do with us. And when you're both overdressed and overeducated, people will pick you apart even more. But that's when you realize just how much power you hold by stepping fully into both your beauty and your brain. Even though I'm just a girl, I'm also a woman. Hello, my sweethearts. So, episode 7, Overdressed and Overeducated, will be divided into 4 chapters. Chapter 1, Be Booksmart as Creative Intelligence is Superficial. Chapter 2, Dressing Well Opens More Doors. Chapter 3, Qualifications Doesn't Guarantee Success. And Chapter 4, Beauty and Brains. Chapter 1, Be Booksmart as Creative Intelligence is Superficial. Growing up, being book smart was everything. In my Filipino community, intelligence is always measured by academic success, how well you do in school, how many degrees you have, and whether you landed a respectable job. Doctor, nurse, teacher. These were considered the standards of success, and like many others, I internalized this belief, thinking that academic achievement was the only way to prove my worth. That's why I pursued a master's degree, maybe. It felt like something I had to do to show that I was intelligente. I always knew I was more than just grades. I always had a creative side that I couldn't really ignore. Now I get it. I would always have sketchbooks and I would sketch out dresses or outfits, clothes. I wanted to be a fashion designer when I was younger. I have always enjoyed putting clothes and outfits together and expressing myself through fashion. Fashion for passion. Passion for fashion. Creativity wasn't, still isn't, present tense, isn't seen as a sign of intelligence. It was very much dismissed as something superficial, a hobby at best. Creative jobs have never been really discussed as viable career options to me. They weren't really considered as real jobs or successful jobs. The creative world, whether it's fashion, content creation, art, music, has always been underestimated. There's a common misconception that these careers are easy, that they don't require real skill or intelligence, but that could not be further from the truth. The creative industry is built on a foundation of deep intelligence, whether it's knowing how to communicate through visual design, storytelling, or creating something that resonates with people on a deeper level. This brings me to Howard Gardner's theory of multiple intelligences, which argues that intelligence is not a single linear measure, but rather a collection of different types. Gardner identified several forms of intelligence, including linguistic, logical, mathematical, spatial, correct me if I'm wrong, I too am just learning, and interpersonal intelligence. The creative world heavily relies on spatial intelligence, the ability to think in 3 dimensions, which is crucial for fields like fashion, design, and visual arts. Yet our society still places more value in linguistic and logical intelligence, the kind tested in school and seen in traditional careers like law, medicine, engineering. Gardner's theory makes it clear creativity is a form of intelligence in its own right. Period. Yeah, did you just hear that? Backed up by theory. And yet people often overlook how much skill and intellect it takes to be successful in creative fields. Fashion, for example, isn't just about putting together a cute outfit. It's about using color, texture, shape to communicate identity, culture, and emotion. It requires vision, an eye for detail, and a deep understanding for people. When you watch movies or films, they all hire stylists because they need that skill to convey a certain story. When you see celebrities, they hire stylists. Not every single person has that skill. When I was younger, I thought I had to choose between being booksmart and pursuing my creative passions. If I truly believed that being a fashion stylist or fashion designer was a viable career for me, I would have gone and pursued that. But as a Filipino immigrant, those careers weren't really seen as real options. There was a time when I wanted to be a lawyer because that was what is viewed as successful. Careers in beauty, aesthetics, or the creative industry were always seen as, something second to the real professional jobs. The world is definitely changing, and people in content creation, fashion, music, a lot now are earning much more than, say, doctors. But yet, why do they still face so much stigma? I've learned that academic and creative intelligence aren't opposites, they complement each other. Gardner's theory supports this. The human mind is not restricted to one kind of intelligence. It thrives when multiple types of intelligence come together. STEM rely on creativity for innovation, and the arts use scientific principles and technology to evolve. We need both, and both are equally valuable, not just one over the other. Society, cultural pressures, they'll try to box us in, but we don't have to fit into these boxes. We can be book smart and creative at the same time. We can love fashion and still be taken seriously. Thank you. The idea that creative intelligence is superficial is very outdated. Academic intelligence is valuable, but so is creative intelligence, and the two are not mutually exclusive. When you embrace both, you become unstoppable, girl. Chapter 2, dressing well opens more doors. So I was always considered extra, bougie, maarte. It was like being dressed up was something to be ashamed of, as if standing out was a bad thing. People would really ask me, why are you so dressed up? And I'm thinking, but I'm wearing my casual outfit. Like, I'm not even overdressed, but you think I'm overdressed. For a long time, I took these comments, well, sometimes I still actually do take these comments personally, because it does kind of make me hear insecurities being projected onto me, and I don't like that aura. I don't like that energy. Dressing well has power, especially in professional settings, social gatherings, or even just walking into a room. Your appearance really does shape how people see you. If somebody says you're overdressed, it means they're underdressed. They do say dress how you want to be addressed. People have treated me differently just because of the clothes I was wearing. Scientific studies have shown that what you wear can actually affect your brain. The theory of enclosed cognition suggests that the clothes we wear influence not only how others perceive us, but also how we think, feel, and behave. For instance, when I put on a silk robe just in the house, I feel like I'm embodying a luxurious stay-at-home wife. I feel elevated. I feel like, wow, I need to sit up. On the other hand, if I'm wearing an old oversized t-shirt, all I want to do is get cozy and binge watch Netflix. There was an experiment done that showed that participants who wore lab coats, you know, the white ones that doctors and scientists wore, when they wore that, it actually did improve their performance on tasks that required focus, which really emphasized the psychological benefit of dressing up. And speaking of how others perceive us, the halo effect plays a huge role in this. It's a cognitive shortcut where people make judgments based on appearance. First impressions do matter, even though it shouldn't. They kind of do. When you're dressed well, your hair, outfit, makeup, all on point, it sends a message of confidence, competence, sometimes professionalism. And I've seen this play out time and time again. I did always think, who actually cares if you judge me for what I wear? And that part does still exist, but I quickly learned sometimes you can use it to your advantage. People will respect you more just because of what you're wearing. I was hit with reality this one time and I will never forget it. So I went to the Philippines because I was doing my dissertation on poverty. I was looking into the education system. Because I grew up in England, I never experienced the formal education in the Philippines. So I did go visit the schools to study the link between poverty and education. Now, obviously my grandma, she was a teacher, then head teacher, and she was really telling me that I needed to dress up when I went to this. It was a public high school in the province where poverty is very much prevalent. So she was really emphasizing, you need to dress up. And I was like, I was going to a meeting with the head teacher of that school, and to be fair, I really liked my outfit. I was wearing like a yellow wrap top. It was my grandma's wrap top. It was really nice, but my aunties were laughing at me saying I look like a grandma. But I really liked the outfit, and it was like long trousers. I was wearing heels. I was looking I was looking like a sophisticated woman. I actually didn't bring that much clothes or shoes because when I go to the Philippines, the suitcase isn't really my clothes and my items. It's all pasalubong. It's like gifts. So I had a very, very, very limited wardrobe. I only bought 2 shoes. I bought the sandaled heels and my white trainers. The first actual day, I didn't really want to stand out, and I felt like my outfit meeting with the head teacher was me standing out because my aunties were really like, where are you going? Like, why are you so overdressed? Like, you look like a grandma. And I was like, I don't want to stick out, you know, I just want to blend in. I don't want to overdress. So I wore a black dress and I chose to wear my white trainers because I felt like if I wore the black dress with the white heels, I'm really like showing everyone I'm here. I'm here. So I was like, no, I want to tone it down, okay? I don't want the attention on me because I'm shy. My grandma looked at my outfit and she said to me, she went to her room, came back with all her jewellery, gold jewellery. She's given me everything, head to toe, earrings, gold, necklace, gold, bracelet, gold, rings, gold. She's trying to give me everything. And I was like, this is OTT, this is too much. Like, I'm going to get robbed. And she was like, no, you need to overdress. You need to. You really need to. And I was like, no, I don't want to stick out. I don't. So I had a very toned down, casual outfit. That's what I was thinking in my head. I'm not going to get attention. That first day, in the morning, I got introduced to some teachers, and the first thing one of them said to me was that I need to take all my piercings out. The other teacher said to her, she's a guest. she doesn't need to take it out. The other teacher insisted I take it all out. In my head, I'm like, I am actually a guest and you're telling me to take all my piercings out? And I was like, okay, maybe this is how they do it here. Okay, calm, I took it out. I couldn't take the conch out because at the time, or even now, I think I can't take it out. Let me just say there were some teachers that were really nice to me. But that aside, there were other teachers, some, who was walking past me, would look me up and down like, I'd have students look me up and down like, I had some students actually throw like stones at me or like rocks, something like that. And I was like, I heard a few teachers, a few students talk absolute shit. Absolute. Oh my goodness. The things that they were saying, I was like, about me. So they were saying it so loud that I could hear what they were saying about me. And they were basically saying like, what is she wearing? Look at her. Like, all this. And I'm thinking, hold on a minute. I felt like, am I some piece of dirt on the floor? I don't really know what's going on. The very next day, obviously I don't really want to feel like that again. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to wear a more dressed up outfit. I'm going to wear my white top. Still within means. I wore a white long skirt and I wore my white heeled sandals that I wasn't going to wear on the first day because I thought it made me really stand out and it made me look overdressed. I wore it. Tell me why that whole day, the whole second day was the complete opposite to the whole first day. In those 2 days, I had the same hair, slick back ponytail because it was so hot. I had very light makeup and it was the same makeup. Why was I treated the complete opposite from day 1 to day 2? Because I changed the clothes I was wearing. And that is when I was hit with reality. That whole second day, every single person from student to teacher that whole day was treating me with respect, was like giving me smiles, people looking at me nicely, giving me this nice, kind aura, people calling me ma'am. I wasn't getting that energy on the first day. I felt like some of the teachers and students on my first day didn't take me seriously. The second day, because of what I was wearing, now they're taking me seriously. Now I do realize also that my skin color has actually played a part in it, because a few days later, whilst I was, every day I was there at that school from, I think I'd wake up at 5 a.m. and the school day wouldn't finish till like 5 p.m, 6 p.m. There were 2 other girls who came to visit, like as a guest. They came from Canada and they were half white. I'm not the beauty standard, they are. They were wearing like strappy, short dresses. I think one of them even had a backless dress. I was so shocked. It felt like the way that they were treated on that day, their first day, they were only there for 1 day anyway, compared to my first day, it felt like they had this whole VIP treatment. If I wore that strappy dress, backless, thin dress that they were wearing, I'd probably have been sent home because they would have told me it was inappropriate. Why was that? Because of the colour of my skin. I think they actually did have other piercings in their ear. Were they told to take out their earrings? No, they weren't. Obviously they weren't. People would really put them so high because they were the beauty standard. Whereas I'm not the beauty standard there. So I was like, wow, this is reality of life. This is the reality of the world. They'll judge you first on your skin colour and then the way you dress. So if you're not the standard by skin color, you really have to make much more of an effort with the way you dress. I'm hit with reality. Taking this knowledge that I have into being a Filipino immigrant in the UK, women of colour, especially in environments where we're not the norm, dressing well is more than just about fashion. It's about demanding the respect we deserve. It's about challenging the biases and stereotypes that people place on us. We're often judged more harshly for how we present ourselves, so dressing well becomes a way to level the playing field. When you think of powerful people in the world, say politicians, leaders, they are always wearing suits, formal attire to show their authority and seriousness. If someone showed up in a tracksuit, they wouldn't be taken as seriously. In the end, dressing well is more than just a fashion statement. It's a strategic tool that can significantly influence how we are perceived and treated. It can open doors to new opportunities, foster confidence, and challenge societal norms. As women, we have to embrace the power of dressing well and use it to our advantage. Despite valuing book-smart people, society also does place importance on external presentation. Chapter 3. Qualifications doesn't guarantee success. So success was always promoted as something that was a simple formula. You do well in school, you get good grades, you go to university, and everything else works out. We were taught the higher qualifications would automatically lead to success. The higher you go in formal education, the more you're increasing your chances of gaining money. Get a master's, get a PhD, you'd be set for life. When you enter the real world, that's far from the truth. You can get a master's or PhD, it still doesn't guarantee you a job. There was a time where I was looking for jobs and I was getting rejected, and people around me were saying, oh, it's because you're overqualified, you're overeducated for the role. Because I'd be even applying for jobs that didn't require degrees and I'd still get rejected, and I'd be like, and I heard that it's because employers do look at whether they think you're going to stay in that company long term or not. So they'd rather choose someone who they know that would probably stay longer. If you have higher education and you're applying for a job that doesn't need a degree, they're gonna think, well, you're not gonna stay long term because you'd probably want a job that matches your education. Also, it is so important nowadays for experience. So even if you have a PhD but you don't really have much experience, a person with no degrees can get the job over you because, work smarter than harder. They'd rather hire somebody who doesn't really need to be taught on the job, or only needs to be taught little things, rather than teaching somebody from zero. The formal education system that was highly promoted isn't necessarily all that. What is actually the most important isn't what you know. It's really who you know. Who you're connected to, who you're networked to. Some of the jobs I've been in, I didn't necessarily apply for. It's because, people who know people, or I know people. There are so many people getting hired or promoted just because of likability. They may not have the highest degree than someone else. They may not have the most experience than someone else, but because they're liked by the people who needs to like them, they excel. Work smart than work hard, because I feel like formal education promotes working hard and that's how you attain your goal. The real world, it's really working smart. It's really networking, your connections, your emotional intelligence, your social intelligence, your likability. It's much more than qualification. Depending on what job you have, Image does kind of play a key part. If you don't look the part, you may not necessarily excel or progress like you want to. I have actually heard other brown young women who are in corporate say that they're taking care of their appearance and they're dressing good, they're dressing professionally, they look good. Yeah, they do. But the older women really undermine them and judge them and really look them up and down. The power of dressing well, dressing up in the workplace, it can actually have pros and cons, advantages and disadvantages. You really have to kind of assess what your situation is and how you can use the power of clothing to your advantage. If you're seen as overdressed in the workplace, people really might think that you're superficial and might automatically think you're not as capable as someone else. It's 2024, guys. Let's not have this mindset. Chapter 4, Beauty and Brains. When we were younger, we were led to believe that being smart or being attractive couldn't coexist. You had to choose between the two. The media and stereotypes often portrayed women as either having beauty or brains, not necessarily both. Dressing in a hyper-feminine way can sometimes make people question your intelligence. One of my favorite films in the whole entire universe is Legally Blonde. Nobody loved Elle Woods like I loved Elle Woods. I'm really trying to embody her. She was often portrayed as the, let's say, dumb blonde, someone who only cared about her looks. People really dismissed her intelligence just because she took pride in her appearance. She was judged so harshly. People were really mean to her just because of that. But Elle Woods proved everyone wrong. She did. She showed that beauty and brains can go hand in hand, and that caring about how you look doesn't mean you lack intelligence. The reason why she won the court case and found out that the daughter was actually the one who accidentally unalived the dad, because of her knowledge of getting a perm, hair, the beauty industry. If she didn't have knowledge in beauty in hair, she wouldn't have won that court case. People really like to put others down if their forte, their field is in beauty, it's in hair, it's in fashion, but it is needed. The intelligence in those fields is needed. She was the character that also expressed that you can embrace your hyper-femininity whilst also nurturing your desire for learning. When you're overdressed, you're hyper-feminine, you take care of your appearance, people will say you're superficial, you're so vain. I've had those comments before. When you're highly educated but don't conform to certain beauty standards, they say, well, you're not even that pretty, you're unappealing. When you're said to have both beauty and the brains, people will say, well, you think you're better than everyone. You will get judged regardless. So just focus on nurturing what you have and what you desire. Every single day, every second of the day, I just come across the baddest. A woman who takes care of her appearance, fashionable, badsy, beautiful, but they're so intellectually intelligent as well. Their mind is filled with so many things. Honestly, every single platform I am going back and forth on, I'm finding so many badsies. The brains and beauty exist in so many women. I am wowed every single time. I'm like, the beautifulness of women. I'm like, no, you think I'm exaggerating? I'm actually not. I'm actually like, wow, badsy, 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 badsy. Beauty and brains. Oh my goodness. so many baddies out there. Just want to shout out to all the baddies out there. Oh my goodness. Now I am out of formal education. I think real learning actually comes from life experiences and not necessarily the grades or qualifications that you gain. There is so much self-learning that we can do. There's so many, you can go online and learn things if you want. If I wanted to learn things about psychology, I can. Everything's online these days. Everything is so accessible. I think the internet makes knowledge accessible. Social media makes knowledge accessible. When I say I will always be overeducated, to me, I mean I am consistently holding a beginner's mindset, and that is what intellect and intelligence is to me. The beginner's mindset, known as Carol Dweck's growth mindset theory, it's the promotion of continuous learning whilst fostering intellectual humility. The idea that I do not know everything in this world, but I am open to learn anything in this world. You're constantly seeking knowledge, and not even so in an academic or studious way. You gain knowledge from the relationships you're in. People will teach you things about yourself. Experiences you have in your life will teach you things. Everywhere you turn can teach you things, and that's what I mean by I want to be overeducated. Always have this thirst for knowledge. An overeducated woman to me is someone who knows that they will never stop learning because they are a learner of life. Life teaches them. You study your feelings, you study your mind, you study improving your relationships, you study how you increase internal fulfillment. Intellect to me is the curiosity of knowledge and challenging your beliefs. Being open to different perspectives. Ultimately, having both beauty and brains means more than just fitting into societal expectations. It's about embracing your full self, your intellect, your style, your creativity, and using these attributes to build a life that is uniquely yours. Balancing these aspects allows you to create a professional and personal identity that reflects who you truly are. In conclusion, the notion that you must choose between beauty and brains, academic to creativity, is a false dichotomy. You can never be overdressed or overeducated. Your appearance and the way you dress can bring you more opportunities, and your intelligence can make you stay in the room longer than others. Even though I'm just a girl, I am also a woman. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. You can keep up with me on my Instagram and TikTok at Maria X Antonette. You can listen to past episodes on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and YouTube. Any inquiries, you can email info@mariaxantonette.com, and I will see you in the next episode. Bye. Love you. Bye.